falling, I'm falling, I'm falling, I'm falling, I'm falling. Shouldn't be trusting me, I could be making it all up, you know. Out of control, you don't know me. I'm a danger to myself.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is that you are tuning in. This is Unapologetically Me, featuring me. No special guest, just me. What I do have for you guys is a whole new background to look at, right? And I actually have another setup over there. This is my nail room. I'm a cosmetologist. I do nails, I do hair, I do makeup, I do whatever it is cosmetically you want, other than obviously what most people my age want these days, which is Botox and cosmetic procedures such as that. But if you want aesthetics, I'm there for you. I got you. And as you can see, I got really super duper sunburned. My back is even worse. I'm not even going to get up and show you guys my back, but my back is even worse. My daughter graduated 8th grade this past weekend. That's why I've been kind of slow on uploads and everything. I've been really, really busy because my oldest graduated high school 2 weeks before that. And we've just, with just everything is like, we're having a party this Saturday for both of them. So, it's just life, right? And I love it. I love every minute of it. I've actually been really kind of down and depressed because my little babies are growing up. And like I said, I was just at my 8th graders, 8th grade graduation, and we were out there for, I swear, almost 3 hours with the sun blazing down on my back. My back is literally like blistered. It is so bad. And I'm like freaking out because there's a spot. And I'm scared that it's skin cancer because I've had skin cancer removed in the past on my lip. And I'm like freaking out right now. So anyway, on to what we need to talk about, right? This Uvalde shooting. And I told you guys I was going to talk, like, deep dive a little bit more into it and get you guys more information. So Salvador Ramos, let me just tell you, this is a video, very, very quick video of him, and just be warned that it is a little bit difficult to watch because what he's holding up, well, try to guess what he's holding up. It's a bag of cats, dead cats, actually. And this was filmed, obviously, before the shooting. And we found out a lot of things. So let's get into some of those things. First of all, if you're new here, welcome. And I hope you guys find something that you will enjoy on my channel. Obviously, I don't talk about topics that are enjoyable topics, but I try to educate you to the best of my ability on the facts about these things, so that there are no rumors, and I just kind of like to straighten things up a bit. And also, it is interesting. It is a genre. True crime is something that a lot of people are interested in. And I just want to make sure that these people's stories get told correctly. And so I really try to, if there's conspiracies around it, get into those and try to see if, they're actually legitimate things or if it is in fact a conspiracy. So I do some of that, and I just kind of jumble around. But right now I'm really wanting to talk about and focus on the school shootings, and not just Uvalde, but in general, and how, we can maybe work on some things to keep this from happening again. I'm just one person, right? You're just one person. But together, if we could get people on the right track here to kind of all want the same things, I think we can make them happen, right? That's how a lot of things end up happening. Tons of people want it. So we were lied to in the beginning of this. We talked about that in my first video on this. And this is what we know so far, okay? So this is kind of the timeline of events that I have found out, and I'm just going to kind of go over that in this video. So shortly after 11 a.m., Ramos shoots his 66-year-old grandmother in the face in their home. And at 11:28 a.m., Ramos crashes into that ravine near Robb Elementary. And a teacher outside, I guess, witnessed this crash, and she ran inside to get her phone, and that's when that door was left propped open. So while she went back inside, I guess, this is when Ramos exited the truck, and he began firing at two people that were outside a funeral home, which was across the street from the elementary school. 11:30, the teacher is back outside, and she is calling 911 to report this crash. At this point, she doesn't know that this is an active shooter. She thinks, oh my gosh, this guy just like crashed right outside the school. So while she's speaking to the dispatcher, she sees a man approaching the school with a gun. So she now sees this guy approaching the school with a gun. Now, I don't know if it's registered to her that the crash is the same person or not, but either way, she notices he has a gun. So she runs inside and she closes that door. So people were saying it was propped open. It wasn't. She runs inside and she closes that door, thinking that it locked behind her, because technically these doors are supposed to automatically lock when they're closed. That's why she originally propped it open to begin with. But it was not propped open when Ramos came into the school. He was actually able to open it. It did not lock behind her. So that is something that we didn't know at first that we know now. It's something that's been cleared up. So she's back in her classroom to the right of the door, and I guess this is from her lawyer speaking, said that she heard this like pop, 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 like really fast. And 11:31 a.m., Ramos jumps over a fence while firing into the school. So this popping sound is him now shooting into the school. Meanwhile, the school resource officer who heard the call arrives at the school. Now, I guess they're very limited with resource officers. So this one resource officer, he is in charge of a few schools, not just Robb Elementary. So what he does is he drives around, to and from the schools, doing like rounds basically on each school. So when he heard this, he went back to Robb Elementary. And when the resource officer first drove up, he initially thought that the man that they were all talking about was this first person that he saw. It ended up being a teacher, though. And when he saw the teacher, he's driving towards the teacher, totally drives right past Ramos, who's hiding behind another car in the parking lot. He's speaking to that, and while he was speaking to that teacher, Ramos, was hidden. And at 11:33 a.m., he enters the school through that same door that the teacher went in that she thought would lock behind her. On the southwest side, it was closed, but it was unlocked. From there, he walked 20 to 30 feet inside the school, and he turned right down a hallway, and he entered either classroom 111 or 112. They weren't exactly sure which one he entered first, but they were adjoining classrooms. They were connected. About 1 minute before Ramos enters the building, a school employee triggered an alert system. So they heard that the shots from outside, and they triggered a school alert system. During this time, Ramos had shot about 100 rounds, according to audio surveillance recovery. At 11:35, 3 Uvalde police officers enter the school, followed by 3 more and a deputy county sheriff, while other officers are surrounding the building. So there were officers that were sent inside. However, they were shot at, and they did receive grazing wounds from the suspect. So at 11:54 a.m., parents at this point are arriving at the school. They are trying desperately to wait outside the school and be patient, watching while they believed the police were doing nothing. So they are attempting to go inside. They are being arrested. One person was tased. Some were pepper sprayed. It was chaos. 11:58 a.m., some students are seen jumping out of windows from their classrooms, which were not the classrooms that Ramos was inside of. At 12:03, more officers enter the school, and they meet in the hallway, bringing the total number of officers inside the school to about 19. Yet no one has yet infiltrated this classroom and neutralized the shooter. They're standing in a hallway, 19 of them. While this happened, someone made an 83-second 911 call from inside room 112. And this same person called back again less than 10 minutes later. 12:10 p.m., there were reports that multiple students were dead. 12:16 p.m., the same student calls back again to report that some students were still alive. About 8 to 9 children were still alive at that point, and this was a little girl. And I think that she was afraid that when she told them that she was in there surrounded by victims, that maybe they thought that she was the only one left. And maybe, and so she was scared. She wanted to make sure that they knew that there was at least 8 or 9 kids left still alive, and that they still needed help. And that is just so sad. I mean, can you imagine the desperation of anyone? But a 9-year-old girl, a 10-year-old girl, these kids were 9, 10, and 11. They're babies. I think of my 10-year-old and I'm just like, I can't even imagine how horrifying that would be. So at 12:17 p.m., U.S. Border Patrol is on the scene with their shields and their other equipment. And the 911 caller asked again for police to be sent in. 12:41 p.m., the first attempt for police to go into the classroom where the shooter shot at them, they retreated down the hallway. So again, this is like they first went in when they got there, they were shot at and grazed. Then at 12:41, police go into the classroom, they're shot at again. So they retreat down the hallway. 12:43 p.m., the caller again asked for police to be sent in. These kids are being picked off one by one, and these cops are they're not doing their job. Okay? They have bulletproof vests. They have guns. These kids are in there completely abandoned. Both their teachers are dead. Their parents are outside desperately wanting to come in and save them themselves. They got cops in the building. They got cops outside the building. And nobody is in here with these kids. So finally, 12:50 p.m., 80 minutes from the first 911 call from the teacher, tactical officers enter the room using keys that they got from a janitor. They shot and killed Ramos in room 111. The incident was and is, I believe, the worst mass shooting in a U.S. school in over a decade, and has left many wondering whether law enforcement acted appropriately. And I think most can agree that they did not. March of this year, Uvalde Police Department received training for this exact instance. Number 1 on that list is to stop the killing. The officer's first priority in a school shooter event is to move in and confront the attacker. Local law enforcement have changed the account of these events multiple times since the incident. May 25th, it came out that the school resource officer confronted the shooter. May 26th, it comes out that a Uvalde police officer confronted the shooter. But they admitted that neither of those things had happened and that Ramos had entered the school undisrupted, meaning he just walked right on in. They have since claimed that the officers waited to enter the room because they believed that the active shooter situation had ended. However, we've heard twice now when they did attempt to enter, they were shot at. So how does that even make sense? They admit, of course, that the decisions made that day were the wrong decisions. Local law enforcement is being investigated at this time. They're also investigating why that school door did not lock behind the teacher. But you guys, really? How many excuses can somebody make? I mean, just say, we were scared shitless. We were scared. And because we were scared and we didn't do our job properly, children died. Period. We deserve to be fired because we should not wear a badge, and we should not be saying that we are here to protect and serve, because we're too afraid to actually do that when it comes down to it. I mean, just tell the truth. The grandfather has spoken out, so has the mother and the father, and it is just like, oh my goodness. The grandfather said he was still trying to wrap his head around everything. He said that Salvador is very quiet. He said that they talked a lot. They didn't talk often, but they talked in the truck when they were going to work together. Sometimes he would bring Salvador to work with him, and that they would talk, but when asked about what, he said nothing. So I don't think he had a relationship with anyone that he could talk to. And he did say that he's not allowed to have weapons in his home. He's an ex-felon. He also doesn't believe in any of this type of gun warfare and things like that. He also said Ramos didn't have a driver's license, so he stole the truck, basically. I just feel like the kid wasn't watched. I don't think anyone gave two shits about him or anything, and I think that that's part of the problem, not the entire problem, but I think that that might be a small part of the problem. His mother spoke, and she basically was like, he had his reasons, and nobody should hate him, and here's a clip of that.
No tengo palabras para decir porque no sé lo que estaba pensando. Él tenía sus razones para hacer lo que hizo. Y por favor no lo juzgan. Yo nomás quiero a los niños inocentes que se murieron. Perdóname.
¿Qué les dices a los familiares de ellos?
Perdóname, hijo. Yo sé, él tenía sus razones.
¿Qué razones pudo haber tenido?
A que se acercaran más a sus niños en vez de poner atención a las otras cosas malas. Yo no tengo palabras, no sé.
Descríbeme a Salvador.
Era bien calladito, era bien callado, bien. He was to himself. Él no le molestaba a nadie.
There were also some text messages sent on the morning of the shooting to a random woman, and it wasn't really like a text message. I think it was more like messaging on something, but when you look at these, it's like he's like bragging, and then for some reason he tags this girl in it, and even she's like, why are you tagging me in your gun pictures? Like, what does that have to do with me? And basically she's the only one that he told, yet she's random. I think she lives in Germany or something is what I heard, or something like that. Like, she's not even living in the same area. Like, they aren't friends, they aren't anything. And he left her with that. And I think there's something to be said about that. You literally leave this with a complete stranger. Which is very, very odd to me. I mean, I don't think he had many friends anymore, which we'll get into in the next video. But now, the man who raced into the school that people are still don't have full information on yet, because people are still saying that he's the one, from the barbershop, he's the one who shot the shooter and he went in. But I'm just going to clarify that. That man who raced into the school, he was actually at the school that morning for an award ceremony for his second grade daughter, because this was towards the end of the school year and they were doing award ceremonies, and a lot of those kids were getting awards that day too. And, it's really sad. They didn't all have to stay either, and they were allowed to go home with their parent afterward. But I mean, I'm sure a lot of parents work, and so they would go home on the bus at the end of the day if they didn't have a parent or a grandparent or a guardian to pick them up from school. So what's sad is that a lot of those kids could have went home. You know what I mean? Some of them wanted to stay the rest of the day. They were going to have a fun rest of the day, watch movies, and it's just really sad. But he had already been there, and he left the ceremony, went to get his hair cut, and his wife was a school teacher there, or is a school teacher there, and she texted him what was going on, and he jumps up and he asked the barber, who's also a friend of his, do you have a gun, whatever, like, we need to go to the school. And he did. He went in, and they allowed him in because he was off duty to begin with, so they knew who he was. And he actually went in and he did save his own daughter. His wife was already across the street safe, but his daughter was still in her classroom. And he did go in and he saved his daughter. He does say that he also helped other kids. I don't know if that was him helping them get out of the window and things like that. But initially, he did not go in to confront the gunman. He went in to get his wife and daughter, so who are both safe and sound. Excuse me. And this man's name was Jacob Alvarado, and so he arrived at the school and he saw what was unfolding, and he said immediately he knew he had to get inside, just like every other parent that was there. Thing is he was able to get in because he knew them, while other parents were not. And I think there is a little bit of an issue between people with that, but I mean honestly, it is what it is. And at the end of the day, the police failed here. They greatly failed. It's never just one thing, right? There's always some kind of series of events that causes something this big. But I think that certain things that we should be able to depend on going right, no matter what, which is police doing their job to protect people. That should never have been anything that failed. The door was supposed to lock, it didn't lock. That's equipment failure, things like that. We can't always guarantee, but we should be able to know that without a shadow of a doubt, that when we call the police to help us, that they do just that. That they follow the protocol. And their protocol, what I said is to take out the killer immediately. Why didn't that happen? There's so many of them. Yes, one of them could have gotten shot. Yes, one of them could have died. But 19 children were killed and 2 teachers. Not to mention everyone else that was wounded. So I don't know, you guys. I'm going to make another video. I want to talk about some other things too. But I just wanted to get this one out there. And I want to stay on task here because there's just so much that I want to talk to you guys about. And it's all coming soon. So hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Comment. It all helps me out to kind of get back in the algorithm. I fell off. And I want to tell you it's because of the AH and JD Johnny Depp trial. I'm pretty sure I'm shadow banned at this point, so I need to start getting back out into the algorithm again, and you guys can totally help me doing that by liking and supporting this channel by supporting this video. So hit that notification bell too, so that you're notified every time that I upload, because like I said, I'm pretty sure I'm shadow banned at this point, and until I start getting more views and likes again like I was before, it's going to be hard to see my content pop up. So you make sure that you hit that notification bell so that you're alerted, because YouTube's trying to hide me because they don't like what I have to say. Talk to you guys later.